Right, the last piece is just to follow up or a quick update on the 3 subcommittees from the employee survey. Dawn had asked for just an update. If you recall, board members, there are 3 subcommittees in place. One subcommittee looks at the teacher evaluation summative. Another subcommittee looks at is put together based on the topic of morale and climate. And the last subcommittee is put together based on salary. And all 3 of those items were identified in the employee survey from last school year. And it should be pointed out, involvement on the committee is voluntary. People were invited to be part of it, but there's distribution among all buildings. And we try to also include a range of people, from people that are early in their careers here to people that have been here a while, representing not just classroom teachers, but the special ed department, some of the specialists, and so on and so forth. So let's just talk about the subcommittee for the evaluation process. That group, I chair that group. We've met 6 times. Well, we've met 5. Our 6th meeting is scheduled for this Wednesday, and we're planning to meet again in January. And the biggest piece of feedback from the employee survey was they didn't the teachers were frustrated or disappointed, or a sensitive point of the summative process was tying merit pay to that. And so they were looking for clarification as far as expectations, and basically they were hoping for a rubric to be designed for that summative evaluation. So as the subcommittee has evolved, it's become clear a rubric is not really the issue right now. They would just appreciate more feedback prior to the summative, so they actually know earlier on in the year how they're doing, so there isn't a blindsided experience come spring. And so what we're working on right now is what does that feedback look like mid-year? What are we looking for from principals to put together, that type of thing. So basically, where we wrapped up last Wednesday is that they have a tool, a couple of options that I need to take back to the principal team now and discuss and decide what goes in place then for a mid-year meeting with teachers. There are a couple of other questions and pieces that came from that teacher input is related to the evaluation process that the committee is also going to review in addition to the mid-year feedback piece. Okay. And the next committee that's been meeting on a regular basis is the salary committee. And if you recall, that committee was put together because there were several concerns about teachers wondering how they would be able to get increases above and beyond the base wage piece that's typically negotiated or has to be negotiated right now. And so that committee has met several times and is also listening to teacher recommendations as far as what are some suggestions or ideas of things that teachers can do to create additional revenue or income for themselves above and beyond the base wage. So that committee has met, let's see, 5 times. They're meeting the 6th time this week, and then they're also scheduled to meet in January, and they hope to have some recommendations ready for P&F probably in February or March, so we can have that hopefully in place by next school year. Again, so that I want to make that really, really clear. It's not about base wage. It can't be, because that part's negotiated. It's about the supplemental pay and how to work on that.
Chris, just a side note, is there any current feedback as to when negotiations will start now that the state is in place at state level?
I haven't heard anything from the board's offer to start negotiations last June. Okay, there hasn't, and that, remember, that's for the 12-13 school year. Mm-hmm. I know that some other districts have been contacted to start the negotiation process. So again, I haven't heard anything, and there has been a change in the UNICEF leadership since we last met as well. So. All right, and then the last subcommittee is the morale subcommittee, and Kathy Hoppe is actually chairing that. They've met twice, and they have several meetings scheduled then for after the holidays. And right now I've talked about just a couple of different topics, some small things to start off with, and then they're going to dig a little bit deeper into the surveys when they get back to see if there's anything that they can have influence on, in addition to things that may not be addressed in the rubric subcommittee from the evaluations or the salary subcommittee. Is there anything you want to add to that? Or
just that the group, I think, needed some time to come together and get familiar with one another, and to we created some strong norms for the team so that they can feel comfortable sharing. And so I think in the beginning, looking at some smaller pieces of the use of instructional time and some other things like that, and then after the holidays, we'll dig in deeper. So.
Have all the team members been given copies of the survey results, the 2 surveys that were taken last year?
They are online, so we're working right off of that.
And then one other question I had was the feedback. A couple times it was mentioned that team members were encouraged to go back to the building to get other feedback. What is that done through staff meetings, or how are we making sure that everyone can have a voice for feedback for that?
I'm not sure that everyone is going to have a voice. I think if you look at this process, there's over 30 staff members involved already. So I think that's a pretty representative voice. And from what I understand, when people are asked to go back and get feedback, they're sending out emails to their teachers or talking to their colleagues
So
in the
everybody's
lounge.
getting updates and has a chance to give some
Well,
feedback?
I wouldn't go that far,
Okay.
because we tried to be very, we want to control the rumor mill and the grapevine. So we've been very, very precise as far as what we're asking for feedback on. We've also been very, very structured in the communication that we're sending out to the sending out as a result of the committee meetings. So basically, the talking points are pretty consistent.
And I would just say, for example, like the Morale Climate Committee decided that at least in the beginning stages, they didn't want to send anything out because they wanted to just have time to talk themselves and to work through some procedures and things. And so when we send something out, like we just sent something out to the staff members, all the committee members have input into what is written and what is sent out, and we take that a lot of time to do that so that it comes as an agreement among the members of the team. So it's a slow process, but we also realize that it's a process that we want to make sure that the people on the team feel very comfortable with, and that our team is a little different in that it will be an ongoing team. I mean, it's always good to have a climate or morale team in the district, so it's not so project focused. So we know as members of that team that this is going to be ongoing in coming years also, just as a place to reflect and communicate.
One other question I had was, under some topics discussed, was appreciation by administration and the board. Just curious if you could elaborate on that.
I would say there was just some dialogue about wanting to feel more appreciated by both the board and administration. That's one of the reasons why, particularly, we discussed, the upcoming board luncheon, and we discussed a variety of things, if we should invite the board or, things like that. And so we decided that we would make sure that people knew that that was, in fact, from the Board of Education, and that's why we did the photo with the picture, and to let people know that they are appreciated. So I think just some of those kinds of things, I think we can do more with that, and to ensure when we are doing something that it's clearly communicated where it's from to. So.
I